You saw the title, you know what this is about. What would happen if Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen had an all-out battle with Chainsaw Man's Pochita? Two beings who embody such incredible strength and cut up everything in their path. Who have legends so powerful that everyone else either fears or worships them. Besides the whole Gojo vs Makima animation project we're working on, out of every versus battle topic out there, this is by far the most requested on my channel. And so I think I'll give y'all exactly what you asked for and finally answer the question. Between the King of Curses and the Hero of Hell, who is truly the strongest? By the way, manga spoilers, you have been warned. Anyway, this is actually a pretty interesting fight, and I get why it comes up so often. In their respective series, both feel so overwhelming to everyone around them. And this actually presents kind of a problem because that means it's kind of hard to gauge their upper limit for what they can do. But Sukuna does have a lot of feats, so let's get into those first. Like with Sukuna, we know he has the capability to just basically one-shot every special grade curse in the series. In his fight with Jogo, he could have ended that at any time. Hell, even with just 2 fingers worth of power, he was able to eviscerate a special grade finger bearer with no difficulty. I mean, he really just used domain expansion to show off. He really didn't have to. And we gotta remember that special grade curses take bare minimum power equivalent to a carpet bombing to wipe out. And he gets much stronger than that. We see this later on. With his fire arrow attack, he was able to create an explosion of flame that not only engulfed multiple city blocks, but even towered several times higher than that. And this was done when Sukuna just had 15 fingers worth of power, only 75%. That all being said, Sukuna's main moves are his slashes, cleave, and dismantle, and it's hard to know exactly how powerful these are in comparison to his flames. Like, his fire did more damage to Jogo than the slashes, but that's not really fair since they cover a wider area of attack. Dismantle is inherently difficult to scale because of this, although Cleave shouldn't have any issue damaging Pochita since its whole thing is being able to adjust its power to cut through someone. Then again, that only works based on the target's level of cursed energy, so it depends if you're equalizing the power systems. Either way, if Dismantle is even close to as powerful as those flames, then Pochita is gonna get hurt since durability is not his strong suit. He even takes damage in his fight against the other hybrids, and none of them really have great feats when it comes to power. Like, Reize has decent showings in things like blowing up buildings, but overall nothing on the scale of Sukuna's sheer destructive ability. So this is all a long-winded way to say that, yeah, Sukuna's exact upper limit isn't that clear, but it also doesn't really matter for this fight. Like, Sukuna's most powerful attack that we know of would be his world-cutting Dismantle, a slash that literally cuts through space. And frankly, he probably gets the same result from just using a normal dismantle. This all being said, I don't want to make it sound like Pochita is getting slaughtered out here, because he wouldn't have such a reputation of strength if getting cut up was all it took to take him out. What's really impressive about Pochita is his insane regeneration. There's a point where he's stuck in space, and in order to get back to Earth, he rips out his heart, chucks it down, and regrows back from it. Sukuna can also regen through reverse curse technique, but it's nowhere near as powerful. He still needs his brain and stomach intact in order to use it, and it's never shown to be able to regenerate an entire body before. But how powerful is Pochita? Well, that kinda depends. Because there are 2 ways to scale Pochita's strength, either through his feats or his lore. Because taking Pochita at face value doesn't really give him a lot of credit. All we see him do is kill a bunch of unknown devils and butcher Makima along with the other weapon hybrids. Which, don't get me wrong, Makima is powerful, but we didn't see her use so much of her arsenal because she was too busy getting speed blitzed. Not to mention, she's notoriously lacking in durability. And Pochita's best showing of strength is when he rushes through these multiple buildings in a single attack. Which, yeah, is destructive, but not really on Sukuna's level. But then you gotta consider that this short fight isn't all Pochita has. because during that fight, we get a fun little statement about how Pochita once fought the Four Horsemen and the Weapon Devils, all at the same time. Now, he didn't win this fight. He ended up in the near-death state that we all know him for now, but the fact he even survived against those monsters is insanely impressive. Just to recap on what those guys can do, because one of them is Makima, who can reject all forms of attack, assuming she had that contract back then, and cause massive internal damage to a primal fear. Then we have the Famine Devil, who doesn't have a lot of showings, but has been shown to control primal fears under the right conditions. The Four Horsemen also includes the Death Devil, and despite having no feats to go off of, she has been confirmed to be the strongest devil and should easily scale above everyone else in the series. That includes the Gun Devil, wiping out multiple city blocks in mere seconds. That includes the Falling Devil, whose presence alone caused gravitational anomalies all over the world, triggering natural disasters on a big enough scale that just about every country in the world lost a significant amount of money in damages. Pochita was in a fight with multiple characters on this level of power, all likely having crazy hacks abilities on their side too, and he survived. He survived with nothing more than finesse and pure physical strength and speed. And if we're saying that Pochita scales to characters like that, then he could just as easily cut Sukuna up as much as the other way around. My whole point is, neither of these characters are lacking in power. They both have the ability to cause massive damage to each other. So the next question is, can they land those hits? Who is faster? But before really delving into that, let's take a moment to talk about today's wonderful sponsor, VoyceMe. Do you like comics? Of course you do. Watching this video practically requires you to be a fan of manga. So presenting VoyceMe, an English webcomic platform where you can find all kinds of fun stuff, from the twisted fight for survival of God game or the thrilling adventure of the Mad Gate. No matter your taste, give it a look and I'm sure you'll find something right for you. You can check it out right now with the link in the description and the pinned comment below, and if you like to read on the go, be sure to download their mobile app for an even more convenient read. Also, check out their Discord server to join a thriving community of readers and creators, also in the description below. Not to mention, it's a great way of discovering new authors and giving them your support, and if you have an original and exciting series that you want to see realized, you can head on over to voice.me and pitch your own ideas to make it happen. And with that, back to the video. So I'll reiterate the question, between Sukuna and Pochita, who is faster? I guess we can start with Sukuna again because his speed has been scaled a few ways. The first is the low-end hypersonic scaling, which is pretty straightforward. Once you get to the upper levels of speed in JJK, you see a lot of statements where sonic speed is surpassed, like Kenjaku dodging the explicitly supersonic piercing blood at point-blank range, or Maki outmaneuvering Naoya despite him moving at Mach 3. We later see Sukuna at just 15 fingers worth of power fight both Maki and Yuji, placing him well above the speed of sound as well. This is also supported by seeing Sukuna at just 3 fingers worth of power able to create a sonic boom with his strike against Megumi. So by that logic, Sukuna at full power with 20 fingers worth should be at least faster than Mach 6 in combat speed, minimum. That all being said, some people like to scale Sukuna much higher than that, like scaling him above Hakari, who seems to react to Kashimo's lightning attacks. The speed of lightning can vary, but that at least puts him at hundreds of times the speed of sound in reaction speed. I do also see some people use this moment where Kashimo attacks Sukuna with electromagnetic waves that should be going at light speed. But personally, I feel this part is a little inconsistent. Like, first, it looks like he just gets hit by the attack, and then the second time it's used when he dodges it, it shows a moment where he sees the attack about to be sent out, and at that point, that's just aim dodging. I get the temptation to give this to Sukuna, but I think we're gonna have to see more concrete showings if we want to start saying JJK characters are faster than light. But that's not really the question today. The question is, can Pochita keep up with Sukuna? Speed in Chainsaw Man is a bit ambiguous as well. We do have some low-end feats that are pretty concrete, like we see Angel easily easily react to a bullet, which is a straight up supersonic feat. Then we see base Quan Chi speed blitz Angel, who wouldn't have been able to react without Aki's warning. Then Quan Chi is decapitated by Makima faster than she could even see it happen. And finally, we see Pochita easily speed blitz Makima. That's like 3 levels of blitzing above the speed of sound, which easily places Pochita well above hypersonic speed. I have seen some people take the feat of the Gun Devil traveling all over the world as something that would take massively hypersonic speeds, and then that scaled to Makima, who defeated 20% of the Gun Devil, which is used to scale Pochita. Now, I've talked about this feat before in a very in-depth video, but even at a surface level, I find the scaling kinda weird. First, because these numbers are never said to be for the travel time. It's just the amount of time he spends in each country doing his thing. So there's no time frame to actually use for the speed scaling. And second, even if we do give the Gun Devil this high scaling, that doesn't mean Makima scales to it. Makima doesn't have any speed feats over the 20% Gun Devil that she fought. She took a bunch of hits, healed them up, sent out a big attack from above, and won. And yeah, you can say she didn't dodge any of those attacks because she didn't need to, but that doesn't mean that she could have. Not having to dodge isn't suddenly a showing of speed. Unfortunately, Chainsaw Man is really lacking in consistent showings of high speed, and it really hinders discussions like this. Taking this one thing the Gun Devil maybe did and just applying it across the board to other strong characters doesn't work so great. Either way, when it comes to speed, there's a lot of interpretation involved. If you use the low-end scaling for both of them, they should be pretty relative. But if you use the higher-end scaling, they would also both be massively hypersonic in speed. Which, you know, that's a wide range of speed. But again, this brings back the issue of scaling characters that don't have a clear upper limit on what they can do. But with the info we do have, who would win? Well, they both have very clear advantages here, and they both have ways of killing each other. Pochita's win condition is pretty simple, he just has to cut Sukuna up enough. Sukuna is going to have a little tougher time at this because of Pochita's insane regeneration. Even though Pochita wouldn't be able to see Sukuna's slashes, the damage would quickly heal and Pochita wouldn't be deterred. Sukuna would specifically have to destroy his heart. That seems to be the source of his regeneration, and we do know that it is possible to kill Pochita since dying is kind of a part of his lore. So the way I see it, Sukuna has only one option here, and that is his domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine. An attack that literally just cuts everything up. Whether it has cursed energy or not, nothing in its range survives an onslaught as slash after slash destroys everything. Not even a speck left in the wasteland it leaves behind. And that would include Pochita's heart. Not to mention its sure hit effect. It is undodgeable. Domain expansion would just win. Another thing I'd like to discuss, because I know people are going to ask, what if Sukuna has 10 shadows? Which, okay, sure, why not? Most of the Shikigami aren't going to do anything. They don't really have any showings that would present an issue to Pochita. The only one worth talking about is Mahoraga, and probably not for the reason you're thinking. You see, when Sukuna fought Mahoraga, there was a moment when Sukuna wondered if it was adapting to his dismantle or cutting attacks in general. Now, this does matter a little, because Mahoraga would eventually adapt to Pochita's cutting attacks. If it's right away, then Sukuna could just wear the wheel and then be immune to those attacks, in which case Pochita loses his most reliable win condition. But if it has to adapt to Pochita's cutting attacks eventually, then there is that gap of time where Sukuna is vulnerable. Now, this all seems pretty damning for Pochita, but I gotta be honest with you, I think Pochita still probably wins. Obviously, there's a lot of debate to be had about different factors of this fight, like the speed scaling. But even then, I think there is a key difference between these characters that gives Pochita an edge. Yes, Mahoraga could make Sukuna immune to Pochita's attacks. Yes, Sukuna could just end the fight with domain expansion. But adaptation takes some time, and Sukuna likes to play with his food. If he isn't aware of the threat Pochita poses, then he's not going to rush to wear the wheel, or rush to use Mahoraga, or even rush to use his domain expansion. And the difference is, Pochita just ends his fights. He goes for decapitation on the very first attack. If he can't manage the first hit that easily, then he's not above sneaking his chains underground to catch his enemy off guard. I think Sukuna has overall more advantages. I mean, I didn't even mention his weapons, or the fact that Pochita wouldn't even be able to see the 10 Shadows Shikigami. Hell, none of this is to mention the fact that we haven't even seen Sukuna's full ability set yet. But when two characters both have viable win conditions and can fulfill them pretty handily, the character that wins isn't the one with more advantages, it's the one that wants to end the fight faster. But all of that is just my take. I'm sure I'll catch a whole lot of disagreements from you guys, and that's okay. I make videos like this specifically to start those conversations, give my take, and see what others have to say. So if you enjoyed the video, do be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It all helps the channel and I greatly appreciate it. Also, be sure to check out the sponsor of today's video, VoyceMe. Check out the link in the description and the pinned comment below. And lastly, be sure to take care and have a good one.